What if you could learn the core of a language, not from some dry textbook, but from a single short story? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to follow the journey of a man named Martin, and by taking apart his story piece by piece, we'll unlock some of the fundamental secrets of Finnish grammar.
So here's our big question for the day. How can one man's story about a major life decision actually hand us the keys to understanding Finnish grammar? I know, they might sound a little out there, but trust me, by the end of this, you'll see exactly how the story and the grammar are beautifully woven together.
All right, let's dive in and meet our protagonist. The story of Martin kicks off with a memory, just a single moment really, captured in a photograph that sets the entire stage for his journey and for our lesson.
The story opens with this line, "Hän muisti oikein hyvin sen päivän." This just means he remembered very well the day. It's a simple start, but it immediately pulls us into Martin's world, looking back at a specific, really important day.
So, this day he's remembering, it's all tied to a photograph. And through this simple memory, we're about to bump into our first key Finnish grammar concept, the passive voice.
And right here is where we see a really fascinating difference between the two languages. In English, we'd probably say it actively, right? When he took the photos. But check out the Finnish. Jolloin ne kuvat otettiin. That translates more like when those photos were taken. Now, this isn't just a random choice. It's a totally different way of looking at the action.
And this word, otettiin, is the perfect example of the Finnish passive voice. It's the past passive form of ottaa, which means to take. You use this form when the person doing the action isn't known, or more importantly, they just aren't the focus. The star of the sentence is the photos, not the person who clicked the shutter.
So on this day, the day of the photograph, the story tells us Martin felt tyytyväinen. That's a great word. It means content or satisfied. Sinä päivänä Martin oli tyytyväinen. He was in a really good place, which makes what's about to happen next even more dramatic.
Okay, now we've reached the turning point of the story. The scene snaps from this quiet, personal memory to a dinner with his friends, Laura and Ernesto. And it's right here that Martin is about to drop a bombshell.
Boom! There it is. During dinner, Martin kertoi heille, että hän oli päättänyt jättää työnsä. He told them he had decided to leave his job. This is the moment his whole new journey kicks off.
So why the huge change? The first reason is simple, direct, and honestly pretty relatable. Koska se oli tylsä. Because it was boring, plain and simple. He just had no passion for it anymore.
But his second reason goes even deeper. Ja rahoitusala ei enää kiinnostanut häntä. The entire finance field. It just didn't interest him anymore. He's looking for something more, you know? This wasn't some impulsive decision. This was a fundamental shift in who he is.
And this is so clever, because the story weaves in another grammar lesson right here. Remember that tiny detail from earlier about the passport photo? The story said, hän tykkäsi passikuvastaan. He liked his passport photo. This little line introduces a really specific rule in Finnish. The verb to like, or tykätä, needs the thing you like to have a special deista or sta ending. It's a perfect example of a small rule that makes a huge difference in sounding natural. So he's quit his boring job. What's next? This section is all about Martin's new plan, his vision for a life that actually means something to him. And of course, with it, we get more essential vocabulary and grammar. His plan is actually beautiful in its simplicity, laid out in 3 steps. First, matkustaa, to travel. Second, ottaa kuvia, to take photos, which you'll notice connects right back to that opening memory. And third, kirjoittaa paljon, to write a lot. This is his new purpose.
Of course, you can't just up and leave without a plan. The story tells us Martin is no fool, saying, hänelle oli säästettyä rahaa matkaa varten. He had saved money for the trip, so this wasn't an overnight thing. He's been preparing for this.
And his financial plan actually introduces another cool grammar trick. He wants to live well, kuluttamatta paljon rahaa, without spending much money. To say without doing something in Finnish, you just take the verb stem, in this case from kulutta, to spend, and you add the ending matta or matta. Super useful, right? The final piece of his new creative plan is this. Hän kirjoittaisi blogia. He would write a blog. Now, this isn't a definite, he will write a blog. It's more like an intention, a possibility he's creating for himself. And that tiny, subtle difference is all packed into the verb. That word, kirjoittaisi,
Brings us to our final grammar rule, the conditional tense. That isi ending in Finnish is basically the equivalent of would in English. You use it for possibilities, for polite requests, or for hypothetical what-if situations. It perfectly captures that hopeful, future-looking vibe of Martine's new plan.
Okay, let's take a breath. We followed Martine from a single memory to a massive life decision, all the way to his exciting new plan. Now let's recap everything and put together the Finnish story toolkit you've just built for yourself.
Now let's just listen to the beginning of the story one more time. As I read, see if you can hear those grammar points we've been talking about. Hän muisti oikein hyvin sen päivän, jolloin ne kuvat otettiin. Se oli sama päivä, jolloin hän otti passikuvat. Hän tykkäsi passikuvastaan. You can hear it now, can't you? The pieces are all starting to click into place.
So let's review this powerful toolkit we've built just from following Martine's little story. We learned the passive voice with otiettiin, for when the action is way more important than the person doing it. We got that special rule for to like, always use tyketa with that sta or sta ending. We can now say we're doing something without something else using the mata meta form. And finally, we can talk about possibilities using the conditional isi tense to say what would happen.
So there you have it. We've seen how one character's journey can totally reveal the structure of a language. Martine decided to leave his old life behind to travel, take photos, and write. He's starting his new story. So now that you have these tools, the only question left is, what story will you tell?